It's amazing what having a child will do for your life, and then what you get to discover in the process. I never thought I'd find myself at, or gosh, even excited about going to a junior varsity ice hockey game. Yet this past winter in Minnesota, not too long after my family and I had moved back to Minnesota from Florida, my wife Julie, our son Ezekiel, and I went storming and even chanting into the Drake Arena on the St. Paul Academy campus to watch the St. Paul Academy Spartans take on the Highland Park Scots. As we walked in, the Zamboni was finishing up its work, and my son Ezekiel just stared in awe. And then I stared in awe. I watched these kids so zoned in with their craft. On the ice, between the two teams, there were 12 players, and they were all doing their thing. And despite being just a junior varsity game, the level of skill that was demonstrated, at least for a novice ice hockey fan like me, was totally beyond me. Toward the end of the third period, something fascinating took place. The nature of the game changed. The Scots were up 2-1, but one of their players was put into the penalty box for cross-checking. And for 2 minutes, the Scots were down a player, 5 versus 6. And for those 2 minutes, those 5 players played a completely different game. It was intense, it was focused, it was purposeful, organized, it was efficient, and it was clean. The stakes had been elevated, and the Scots had to rise to the challenge. And they did. The Scots stopped the Spartans. After those 2 minutes, the gameplay resumed its normal rate. The Scots went on to win the game. Ezekiel, my son, got to have a brand new experience in the Minnesota winter. And then Julie and I found yet another thing to do in the cold winter months as a family. I think there's an important lesson here for all of us. Having that stake in the game, what I've come to call a big, scary, hairy goal, it forces you to rise to your best. When you make a decision to commit to something big, something that makes you sweat, fret, and almost kind of obsess over for a long period of time, you tap into a way of being that mimics the Scots gameplay during the 2-minute penalty. Your rate of play is gonna be more intense. Your days are focused, your actions are more purposeful, your life is organized, your movements become more efficient, and your mind is clean. Having that goal opens up the door for you to discover what's your peak performance. And gosh, it's a beautiful thing to witness. It makes for some amazing stories. So take a risk, put a stake in the ground, and rise like the Scots.